She used to roll her eyes when you called. Now she stares at your profile hoping you'll post something that shows you're still hurting, but you've gone quiet. You've disappeared, not into sadness, but into progress. And that silence, that evolution, that's what hurts her the most. She just realized you're not trying to win her back. You're becoming someone she can't reach again. You've been blamed for feeling too much. You've been told to man up while she tears you down. You've suffered silently, carrying the weight of indifference like it was your fault. But not anymore, because I built something for men like you. I created the best ebook ever written for men. Stoic Relationship Blueprint, a guide rooted in 2,000 plus years of timeless Stoic wisdom. It's not just a book, it's the only blueprint you'll ever need to break free, reclaim your power, and rebuild yourself from ground zero to untouchable. Click the link in the comments to get this life-changing ebook, because truth like this isn't going to be available for too long. Once it's gone, it's gone. Comment, "I claim my power," below if you're ready to take back control. Men today are suffering, not because we're weak, but because we were taught to serve where we weren't respected, to love those who barely tolerated us, to fix what they kept breaking. They say, "She moved on fast." But what they don't tell you is the moment you stop chasing her approval, she starts chasing yours. Let's talk about what hurts a woman the most when she doesn't value you, and how you become the man that changes everything. Number 1. Stop seeking her attention. She's used to men chasing her, reacting to her every move, watching her stories as if they're signals from the divine, waiting for her validation like it's currency. And the moment you cut off that supply, not with anger, not with drama, but with indifference carved from clarity, you become what she didn't predict. A man whose self-worth isn't attached to her recognition, and the shift is seismic because the man who once refreshed his DMs at midnight, waiting for her response, now wakes up at 5 a.m., building a brand, sculpting his frame, sharpening his mind, and stacking skills that speak louder than likes. And while she scrolls through filtered attention, trying to recapture the dopamine she used to get from your praise, you've transcended needing any digital response to feel real. And the hurt she feels now isn't because you're gone, but because the man who once orbiting her world is now building his own solar system where she's not even on the map. And she will feel the shift, not when you delete her, but when your energy no longer reacts to her subtle tests, because attention was her playground, and now the gates are locked, and you, the former servant of her presence, have become king of your own world. And this is the transformation every man must undergo, not for vengeance, but for liberation. Because if you ever find yourself checking if she viewed your story, understand that every second spent watching her is a second stolen from your future empire. So the next time you think of her, ask yourself, how many books have I read this week? How many new skills have I built? How many hours have I wasted staring into nothingness, hoping someone who never saw me finally will? And the answer must scare you enough to stop needing her attention and start commanding your own. Number 2. Prioritize growth over apologies. She will make you feel guilty for choosing yourself, accuse you of being selfish the moment you start setting boundaries, manipulate your desire to be loved into an obligation to stay small. But the truth is that your evolution will trigger the same people who benefited from your lack of it. And when you decide to start eating cleaner, lifting heavier, learning more, and spending less time explaining your path, you'll notice how those who once cheered your presence now resent your progress. And it's not your job to soothe their insecurities by shrinking your light, because growth is not arrogance, it's alignment. And the man who apologizes for his glow is the man who lets the world dim him. And if she ever said, "You've changed," like it's a crime, understand that it was never about change. It was about control, because she knew that the man who needed her became predictable, safe and dependent. and that man no longer exists the day you begin tracking your macros, protecting your time, reading for mastery, and building your legacy without asking for permission. And what hurts her most isn't your absence, it's your expansion. The fact that you now dress like you respect yourself, walk like you have somewhere to go, speak like your words carry weight, and live like you have a mission too sacred to be compromised. And every man must stop apologizing for living on purpose, for growing past her comfort zone, for turning "I'll fix this" into "this no longer fits." Because life's deepest betrayal is not losing her. It's losing yourself while trying to keep her happy. So ask yourself, how many goals have I buried to stay liked? How many dreams have I delayed for temporary affection? How often have I apologized for wanting more? And if the answer brings you shame, let that be the last time you explain growth to someone who only loved your struggle. Because when you prioritize your evolution, everything that wasn't real falls away. And that's not your loss. That's your liberation. And if she ever comes back, remember, the man she knew no longer exists, and the one you are now bows to no one. Number 3, embrace discomfort. The path to the man you were meant to become does not lie in ease, in pleasure, or in waiting for someone else to recognize your value. It begins the moment you stop negotiating with pain and start using it as your teacher, because comfort has never built strength, never sharpened discipline, never created legends, and every man who chooses the easy route over the right one trades his future for the illusion of peace. And the truth is that the discomfort you've been avoiding, the early mornings, the cold rejections, the lonely weekends building a foundation no one else can see, that's the exact process required to forge a man who no longer waits for validation. And while the world tells you to follow your feelings, a wiser voice whispers that feelings are visitors and purpose is the foundation. So ask yourself, when was the last time you did something difficult, not because you wanted to, but because you needed to? When was the last time you pushed through fatigue, temptation, or doubt, simply to prove to yourself that you're still in charge? Because without discomfort, there is no transformation. And the men who have the lives you envy are not lucky. They are forged in silence, in struggle, in self-denial, in discipline so ruthless it makes average people uncomfortable. And every time you avoid hardship, you choose to remain ordinary, so you must start running toward the resistance, not away from it, and do it daily. Take the cold shower, finish the last set when your muscles scream, resist the urge to scroll for hours, read something that makes you smarter, not something that entertains you, and over time your brain rewires, your body hardens, and your identity shifts from a man who avoids pain into one who uses it as leverage. Because once you stop fearing discomfort and begin embracing it as your compass, you unlock a strength most never reach, and the pain becomes purpose, the resistance becomes a signal that you're growing, and soon, what once broke you becomes your warm-up. And this shift is not for everyone, but it is for the man who no longer wants to be forgotten, ignored, or average, because real growth is a contract with discomfort. And every day you avoid the challenge is a day you delay the man you're meant to be. Number 4, turn rejection into redirection. The moment she walked away, the moment she chose someone else, the moment she looked through you like you never mattered, that wasn't your ending, that was your assignment. Because rejection is not an insult, it's information. It's the universe removing what distracts you from your greater path. And while most men crumble when they feel abandoned, the wise ones recognize that the pain of being dismissed is a map, pointing you toward the parts of yourself you've been neglecting. And instead of chasing her or drowning in why she left, you look at the space she freed up in your life and ask, what can I build here? Who can I become now that I'm no longer shrinking to be loved? Because the men who rise the fastest after rejection are the ones who see it not as a verdict, but a mirror showing what must evolve. So when she says you're not good enough, don't argue. Become so good you'd never look her way again, not out of spite but out of transformation, and use that energy, that anger, that ache as fuel. Turn heartbreak into obsession with your own potential. Build your business one brick at a time, while the memory of her walking away sharpens your focus. Go deeper into your craft, while the echo of her goodbye teaches you discipline. And if you ever feel the sting of being replaced, remember that her choice has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with what she could handle. Because sometimes people walk away not because you're unworthy, but because they cannot handle the man you're becoming. And rejection, when seen clearly, is the exact pressure that produces the diamond. So let it sculpt you, let it harden you, let it remove the fantasy and reveal the facts. And if she couldn't see you then, it's not your job to make her see now. It's your mission to become a man so focused, so refined, so complete, that no woman ever gets to define your worth again. And when you redirect that pain into progress, you don't just get over her. You get past who you were when you still needed her. Because every rejection is an invitation, not to get her back, but to get yourself back. And once you've rebuilt your foundation on purpose instead of need, on self-respect instead of romantic fantasy, you'll realize that the best thing she ever did was leave. Number 5. Let results speak louder than words. You don't have to tell her what you've become, because the men who speak the loudest about their evolution are usually the ones still craving applause. But the man who has truly transformed knows that evidence destroys doubt better than explanation ever could. And when she tries to circle back, not because she loves you, but because she's confused about how the man she dismissed now radiates with a calm power she no longer has access to, your lifestyle will be your only reply, because the truth is, results cannot be faked. They expose the distance between who you were and who you chose to become. And if you're still trying to prove something to her, you haven't yet built enough, because proof is not in the quotes you post, not in the photos you take to show you're doing better, not in the cryptic captions aimed at her. It's in the consistency of your habits, the way your bank account reflects your discipline, the way your body now walks into a room and commands a new level of respect, not because it's muscular, but because it's been rebuilt by pain repurposed into perseverance. And when she hears that you're doing well, sees that your network expanded, finds out that you've built something meaningful, that women now admire you for reasons deeper than appearance, that you no longer reply to her, not out of bitterness, but because she simply no longer qualifies. That's when she'll feel the sting that words could never deliver, and your focus now must be so intense that you don't even flinch when she reaches out, because if you're still hoping she notices, then your growth is incomplete. And this is why the most dangerous man is the one who no longer explains himself, who simply builds and keeps building until his very existence becomes a quiet revolution against every doubt that was ever cast upon him, because the true Stoic does not need to be seen. He only needs to be aligned with virtue, with strength, with excellence, and in that alignment he becomes undeniable, not by force, but by foundation. Number 6. Stop chasing closure. You keep hoping she'll give you a reason, a final talk, an apology wrapped in empathy to explain why she left, why she switched up, why she ghosted after saying she loved you, and you believe that if you could just hear the truth from her lips, you'd be able to move on, but you won't, because what you're chasing isn't clarity, it's connection. And every time you ask why, what you really mean is, please come back. And the painful truth is that closure is not something she gives, it's something you create. And if you're honest with yourself, you know that even if she did explain, it would never be enough. Because closure doesn't heal what ego wanted to control. And even if she said it was her fault, even if she cried in front of you and said she never meant to hurt you, it would only pull you back into the story where she gets to rewrite the ending. But you must reclaim that pen. And the way you do it is not through confrontation, but through detachment, not through a dramatic goodbye, but through quiet rebuilding, and you will only find peace when you stop asking questions that no longer deserve answers, because the answer is already in front of you. She left, and the lesson was in her departure, not her explanation. And the longer you seek a reason, the more you delay your own evolution, because the Stoic man knows that life often gives us pain without permission and endings without ceremony, and his peace is not found in fairness but in adaptation. And so you must stop checking if she viewed your message. Stop drafting closure letters you'll never send. Stop rehearsing scenarios in your head that will never play out, and start facing the only truth that matters. Her absence is your assignment, and the closure you seek is the discipline to no longer need it. And when you finally stop chasing the ghost of a conversation that will never come, you free your mind to build something that no longer needs her validation to stand, because the door she closed was never meant to be reopened. It was meant to show you that healing is not a request for her to fix what she broke, but a responsibility to become so whole that her exit no longer echoes. Number 7. Give her nothing to reject. The day you understand that offering yourself to someone who constantly questions your worth is the deepest form of self-abandonment, is the day you stop placing your dignity on the line for someone who feeds off your need. And the man who becomes truly unshakable is the one who finally decides he will no longer show up to be misunderstood, because every message you send to test if she still cares is not only beneath your mission, it gives her another opportunity to validate herself by discarding you again. And no woman respects a man who continually hands her the blade and asks her to cut him slower. So if you really want to shift the dynamic, not to manipulate but to evolve, you must learn to give her nothing she can twist, nothing she can label, nothing she can devalue, because presence without clarity becomes her playground. But absence backed by elevation becomes your fortress. And this doesn't mean ghosting or playing games. It means stepping out of the emotional space where she once had leverage and into a zone so consumed by self-direction that her name is no longer in your vocabulary. And when she can no longer reject you, not because you withdrew with bitterness, but because you outgrew the very need to be accepted by someone who could never see your value clearly, she starts to notice in confusion what used to be obvious to her, that you are no longer waiting in any form, not in inboxes, not in glances, not in mentions, and while she's wondering why you haven't posted anything new, why your status doesn't show, why your name is quiet in the places she once found you. You are at the gym pushing your limits, at the desk crafting your vision, building something monumental from the emotional dust she left behind. And the moment you stop feeding her illusion of control by giving her something to discard, you become the unknown variable she can no longer decode, and that drives her deeper into the discomfort of reflection she thought she'd never have to face. Because what makes a woman spiral is not your reaction. It's your non-participation in the story she was writing without you. Number 8. You live like she never existed. There is no greater transformation than the one where the very memory of her becomes a distant noise you can barely remember, because you've reprogrammed every layer of your identity around meaning, discipline, and value, not sourced from her acknowledgement, but from your daily actions. And this shift is not about pretending she didn't matter. It's about building a life so full, so vibrant, so aligned with the man you were meant to be, that her chapter in your life no longer defines any part of your narrative. And the man who lives like she never existed is not cold or bitter. He is healed because he stopped placing his worth in the past and began planting it in the present. And when you no longer flinch at her name, no longer feel anything when someone brings her up, no longer even think to check what she's doing, that's when you know you've crossed over into a territory few ever reach, where you do not move on through distraction or rebound, but through real internal rebirth. And this is done in the quiet work, in the days where you no longer fantasize about what could have been, but execute relentlessly on what is becoming. And you may wonder how you'll know when you've arrived. You'll know when your goals keep you up more than her absence, when your daily routines are so locked in that your past relationships feel like someone else's story, when you meet new people and your eyes no longer search for resemblance, when you finally realize that her walking away was never a curse but a catalyst. And this is when your energy changes, your posture sharpens, your tone deepens, and people start asking, what happened to you? And you won't need to answer, because the results, the peace, the direction will say everything, and you will look back not with regret, but with gratitude for the pain that taught you precision, the betrayal that taught you boundaries, the longing that built your focus. And while she wonders if she ever meant anything to you, the truth is, you no longer carry resentment, because you no longer carry her, not even in thought. And that kind of indifference, born from true self-respect, is what changes the way women look at you forever. Because the man who lives like she never existed is not avoiding the past. He's walking so far into his purpose that the past can't keep up. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is awake. The pain, the confusion, the betrayal, the days you walked through life wondering why your love wasn't enough, the nights you stared at a screen waiting for her to reply, the moments you questioned your worth because she moved on like you were nothing. All of it, every broken piece, has led you here, right now, face to face with the truth most men are never told. And that truth is simple. The world has taught you to give and give until there's nothing left of you, to stay quiet when you're hurting, to serve silently while you're overlooked, and still somehow be strong. And while you're drowning in expectations, pretending to be fine, no one ever gave you a roadmap to rise. No one ever handed you the blueprint to become the man you were meant to be. Until now. That's why I created the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, the most powerful, practical, and timeless guide ever written for men who are ready to stop begging, stop bleeding, and start building. It's not just another book. It's the end of confusion, the end of emotional chaos, the end of being disposable in a world that rarely values your depth, your loyalty, or your pain. This blueprint holds 2,000 plus years of Stoic wisdom, packed into a modern weapon for today's man. The man who's done being ignored, done being walked over, done living a life beneath his potential. Inside, you'll learn how to rebuild from betrayal, how to reclaim your focus, how to deal with emotional manipulation, how to master your energy, and how to rise from the ruins of relationships that nearly destroyed you. And here's the thing, it's now available to the public, but not for long. We're capping the number of sales to just a few. Why? Because this knowledge isn't for everyone. It's for the men who are truly ready to transform, and we want to preserve the integrity and power of this information. Once we hit that cap, it's done. No second chances. So if you're serious about this, if you're done being lost, done being lied to, done being left behind, then do two things right now. Comment the blueprint below to let the world know you're done settling. Click the link in the comments and grab your copy of the Stoic Relationship Blueprint before it disappears and before life hands you another hard lesson for free. And if this video spoke to you, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread this message to millions of other men who are quietly suffering, who need to hear this, who are one truth away from changing their entire lives.